Yeah, that's right, I see the chat. I see y'all rocking, I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building, you know what I'm saying? Hit that like button, show your love, show your support, you know what I'm saying? This that dope soul, this that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by Geoff Klafter of the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog, Ajay, the villain, Hollywood, Knick Nation, who we stole from Knicks Real Talk. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good.
Awesome.
Awesome. A lot to talk about. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, a lot to talk about today. I want to give some time to Karl-Anthony Towns. When he wasn't playing that well or wasn't as efficient or wasn't as big a part of the offense as we thought he should be, there was a lot of talk, particularly on this channel, about how the Knicks' chances of winning the championship without Cat was low. And now that he's playing better, some would argue his best basketball because he's playing both sides. We'll revisit that. A lot has changed with the team since then. And so we may, it may be that it doesn't even matter at this point. I don't think so, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the team's inconsistency and whether that's a concern heading into the playoffs, or is that just part of the process for the Knicks? And we'll talk about McBride's return. We'll talk about Hart being out in Detroit, for the Brooklyn game. And also Cade Cunningham out with a collapsed lung. He'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That could very well change the landscape of the Eastern Conference. Boston may creep into their first spot. The Knicks are down 5 with 12 to go. It would have to be a collapse. But they may have an opportunity to sneak into that second spot. So we'll talk about that. Also, shout out to the chat, the replay gang, the silent listeners. Appreciate you. Let's start with Cat. Do you think he's back? And what does it is back looking a little different than we know him to be? Geoff, we'll start with you.
This is a great way to start the show. I'm glad that because this has been on my mind a lot lately. I don't know that he's back because I'm not sure that he ever left. And I say that because I think that Towns has really tried to sacrifice his game for the good of the team. He's taken a reduced shot diet without complaint. He does everything that the coach asks him to do. And I got caught up in what I wanted to see, right? I want to see Towns on the block and getting, 21 shots a game and averaging 35 points or whatever the case may be. That's what I want. That's me. But obviously Coach Brown feels like that's not the way to maximize this group, whether I agree with it or not. And so from my perspective, what's really impressive about Towns is that he's bought in my opinion, 100%. You can see it, the improved play on the defensive end. By far, his defensive metrics are probably the best of his career. He's part of one of the since January 19th, we're the number 1 rated defense in the entire league. And he's been on the floor for the lion's share of those minutes. So you have to give him credit for that. And on top of that, his percentages are rising again as far as his shooting back to career numbers, which we kind of expected. And so, as someone who is critical of Towns, not making shots early on in the season, I am super impressed. I think it was more of my own expectations and what I wanted to see versus what the Knicks were asking for out of him and what they wanted to see. And I think if you look at it from the lens of the team perspective and what Mike Brown wants, I think Towns has performed exactly as they've wanted him to. And now he's kind of getting more comfortable with it, and his shooting is rising back up to normal levels now that his comfort level with his responsibilities is at a higher level.
Have there been changes, though, in terms of his use in the offense? Changes in terms of getting more shots? Or do you think it's everything has basically just remained the same, and the only difference is that he's now hitting the shots?
I mean, I don't think his volume has gone up too much. I don't know. I don't really have access to those numbers as far as if his shot volume has really increased that much over the last 20 games or so, whatever, 27 games. But I don't want to say one thing and it not be true.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that he's hitting them at a better clip for whatever reason. Like he was definitely, you want to call it a prolonged slump or whatever you want to call it. He was way below his career numbers from the field, from 3-point territory, from everywhere. And those numbers have continued to climb and to rise. But overall, I think this season, you can say as a whole, from a 70-game picture or whatever it is, his shot volume is definitely down by a shot or two per game. And so it has been that's got to be an adjustment, right? And so, you know, his points per game, I think, has been affected by that. But I don't know that I think that you're right. Just guessing, like not looking at any numbers, that he's kind of getting the same shot diet, but the shots are falling now, and so it looks a little bit different. If you want to say that, I'll definitely buy into that. But I think part of that is comfort level with his role and what he's being asked to do.
No, I wasn't saying that at all, because for me, I'm not sure when it started, but there was definitely a change in scheme where they started moving him around and he wasn't just at the top of the key. They started, he was down low more. They were looking for him more. At some point, I don't know when the switch, I forget what game it is, what game it was, but from that game on, how they were using him, how they were playing him, how they were looking for him, in my opinion, seemed to change. Maybe I was wanting it so much I'm seeing things, but that's what it seemed like to me. Ajay, what have you seen from Cat? Do you think there's been any difference? I don't know, over the past 20 some odd games, or not quite?
So I'm gonna agree with Geoff somewhat, because I don't think Cat ever left either. It's just that, listen, it's a new coach, new scheme, new system. So sometimes it just takes time to adjust. His shot, obviously he wasn't shooting as well as he's done, not just last season. I mean, he was insane last season, but throughout his career. So it just so happened like the beginning of the season was a low point in his career. So it was it could be attributed to maybe a period of adjustment to the new coaching, to the new schemes, to the new stuff going on. But it's just he's doing the same things. It's just that he cleaned it up a little bit, right? So he's still, he tries harder on defense. He's still not a great defender. He still defend with his hands down. I don't know why he does that, but you can't really do much on defense if your hands are down, unless you're trying to swipe the ball away. But he's still shooting. Something I don't like, he's shooting less threes, which I like. It shows like a lack of confidence. Like he really needs to pick that. We're gonna need that in the playoffs. But otherwise, he's still grabbing rebounds. I think he's the best rebounder in the game. I mean, he's always doing the double. He's been as bad as we thought he's been playing. He's leading the league in double, this season. So he's still doing what he's doing. It's just that maybe the rest of the team is trying to find him more, or he's getting more touches. He's more decisive in what he's doing.
That is,
you know what I'm saying? So I don't even maybe he's a little bit smarter about the way he's aggressive, but it's picking and choosing when he needs to be aggressive. And otherwise, it's the same game. At this point in his career, he's not going to do anything different, right? He's not going to learn any new tricks. It's just going to be the same thing. He's just got to make some little fine-tuning here and there, which happens every day in the NBA, because sometimes those guys fine-tune, with each playoff series, right? With it could be first round they play a certain way, and then they make a slight change for second round. They adjust to the competition, and that's just all I think he's doing. But it's been the same thing. The result is different, probably because he's hitting his shot a little more. He's a little more effective shooting wise, but everything else is the same.
Okay. All right. Nick Nation, do you think it's just been a shift in efficiency, or do you see other things?
I see it a little slightly different than my counterparts here. So big shout out to everybody, by the way, out there in the chat. You know what I mean? Please hit that like button. We appreciate you. Sit back and listen to some content. I see it a little different. I may not see it as if Cat had gone anywhere, but he's raised himself because he wasn't there. His consistency has been much more. So if we look at the eye tests and even the numbers, one of the largest things which was consistent with Cat was foul trouble. So he's now, if we look at these last 20, 25, 30 games, it's different. He was such a high number, you know, that he was really off the scale. He was number one in offensive fouls. He may still be at some point, but the measurement of like how many times, how many games, the consistency has definitely changed. His attitude on defense has changed. His ability to read the scheme has changed. So he's raised his game in ways that I don't think he has before, with balance of offense and defense. Now the additive of moving him around, that is between two of them. That is just not on him, that is on the coach. That's, the three of them. That's on the coach, that's on himself, and that's the other players for also finding him when he does move in this scheme. He's caught the ball quite a bit more closer into the paint area, which to me expands his game so much, just like a wider angle, because it's so much more difficult to guard a big man once he's down in there without everybody else having to squeeze down. It's just that the fine tuning of him and Brunson, at times it's ugly, at times it's efficient, but at no time have I seen any real beauty in it yet, not on a consistent basis. Ever so blue, I may see them too, you know, where they interact point, but we need to get that together. So I don't measure just this on Cat, but I measure this on others, including Cat, into this process.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I see a lot of difference. And part of it is the efficiency, as Geoff and Ajay said, that's gotten better. But he's moving around. He's taking different types of shot. I'm seeing mid-range shots as well. When he's in the post, I don't see him trying to be Shaq. You're not Shaq. So I see him taking the fadeaway. And some would say, you 7 foot tall, why are you taking the fadeaway? If you look at his physique, why are you trying to bang? Like with your touch and with your height, it's fine to have a finesse game in the post. You don't have to bang, shoot over the top. He took a mid-range shot, almost fell out my seat. I said, now this is what I'm talking about. You know, so to your point, I do see his offensive game opening up in terms of where he's getting the shots, the type of shots he's taking. You know, to Ajay's point about less three-pointers, maybe that's just part of the scheme, right? For him not to take as many. You know, you shoot 42% for your career. I do think he should take more. I do think that's to the Knicks' advantage, but for whatever reason, that's not the case. And they're looking for him. They are looking for him. And there was a time in the season where it looked like there was a pact not to pass him the ball when he was open in the post. Swing it to the other side. Go all the way to the other side. Cross-court pass, and he's right there. So I definitely noticed the difference. I think the question is, do you think how he's playing right now is enough? Because we said earlier, we need Cat. We need Cat. If we're going to make this run in the playoffs, we need Cat. Do you feel like the cat that we have now, whether you feel it's just an efficiency issue, whether you believe he's moving around, do you feel like this cat right now is the cat that can get us further into the playoffs? Ajay, Nick Nation, and then Geoff.
No, we need more from him. So
Okay.
yeah, Cat needs to be a superstar. Like he really needs to be. Him and Brunson need to be 1A, 1B on this team. So yeah, he's playing better. We get more out of him, but we still need more. We need him to be, I mean, dare I say, dominant offensively for us to be able to listen. The playoffs is the best of the best. Okay, and it gets harder and harder as you go deeper into the playoffs. You can't be average, or you can't just be okay cat and then think we're gonna win. You got to be great cat. You need great cat and great Bronson. Maybe okay Mikal Bridges, maybe okay other guys, but your two top guns got to be at their peak. They got to be at their best.
Right. Do you think there's room in this system for him to be the superstar, whatever that means? Or do you feel like, as Geoff said, he's kind of playing within the system? And I guess my question is, will the system allow him to be this superstar that that you would like him to be?
Well, if the system, it's a mistake if the system that they come up with or that they planning on moving, forging ahead with, doesn't allow him to be the superstar that he is.
Yeah.
That's kind of malpractice. I mean, you have a guy who's talented who could do a lot more, but then your system's kind of limiting what he could do. That's not what we want to do here. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we're trying to do. You're trying to maximize every player. So you got to come, as the coaching staff, you got to come up with a system where you get the best out of every player. And shout out to Tom Thibodeau, who had managed to do that with, because sometimes we've had like strange cast of characters out there under Tibbs, and then he get them to perform. He just pick and choose the best portion out of that guy and put him in that position. So they need to come up with a system that could do that, the coaching staff. So they have to figure it out. I don't know if there's time to figure it out at this point, but moving forward, that's got to be their goal. How do we maximize Cat alongside a maximized Brunson, alongside a maximized OG Anunoby? That's the only way you're going to win, with everybody playing their best.
And what do you think is left to maximize? The 3-point shooting? Is that basically it?
The scoring, the overall scoring, because Cat, his scoring dropped a little bit. I'm not looking at the numbers, but overall, the eye test tells me that he's not scoring as much as he's scoring last season. So we need to pick up on that, because obviously in the playoffs, the defenses, everything picks up, right? Physicality, defense, the speed, the athleticism, everything's playing better. So you're gonna need Cat to be at least back to what he was last season in terms of scoring. You're gonna need those points.
Okay, all right. I don't want to stay on you. I want to give Nick.
No, go ahead.
I have so many questions. Do you think though that OG? I'm not going to even say Bridges. Do you think that OG may have, improved to the point that where Cat is playing right now is enough for the playoffs, or you think he still needs to take it up?
Right. So OG improving, and OG did improve this season, right? That is a major improvement, especially on offensively. So basically, if you raise OG and then you drop Cat, you kind of at the same point you were last season, right? You need Cat Brunson to stay high, and then you raise OG Anunoby to be a better team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of simple math. I hate to say, but you need to, in order to be better, that one more guy has to be better. It can't be this guy gets better and the other guys dropped, and you at the same level you were last season. Especially, I think Mikal Bridges' play dropped a little bit, so you really you can't afford to have any one of those three guys not playing at their peak. And three guys, I mean OG Anunoby.
Okay, all right, Nick Nation.
Well, first of all,
Do
let's
you need to know
focus.
the original question because we talked about?
Oh no, listen. I'll be somewhere in character. But first, we need to focus out there. And if people in the chat and everybody on this panel, if y'all could look, Steph came back. The queen came back from the motherland with some cocoa butters over there that she's probably dipping her hands in. Meanwhile, I'm over here dry like sandpaper. This. Let's focus. Let's
I went
focus,
like
people.
this, and my knuckles looked a little. I said, "Oh wait, hold on."
You see?
She got the raw shea butter.
Listen, you hear the sandpaper on my about to start a fire over here. Let's see. I see it is in a few different ways here. Because this where Cat is and where he needs to be into the playoffs, if he can stay this consistency when the pressure turns up, and if he can then keep the same point of those mental errors down, that's more than I can ask, because I think everything else will fold into play. It's when his mental IQ gets off and he just gets frustrated, starts hooking people, starts making mistakes, the turnovers, the dribbling, or if somebody sneaks up behind him and, rips the ball, if he can stay away from that. But this is just not a point where we only just have Cat, and it's also between him, Brunson, and whoever else that is making that hockey assist and understands the priorities of the hierarchy, where that ball needs to go at times as well. He does. We can't go into games where we're starting these first quarters out not great, a lot of times lapsed on defense, teams coming out getting 32, 34, 36 points. We need to hold teams in those first quarters to keep them down to about 26, 28 points, someplace in there. Because what they're doing also is Brunson gets out to a 15, 16-point game in the first quarter, and we can't have then Cat coming in here with 2 points, or not even 2 points, or if he even took 1 or 2 shots. That has to change. That has to be more consistent. We're in the beginning point of the game to get Cat mind focused, get him in the game early. Brunson can find his game later. We don't really need to say sometime, we know we don't want to fall behind, but you got to get Cat. I think if you go into these playoff series, keeping Cat going early, he'll pay attention, he'll focus more into the game, and he's a different person. But if we go into this game, into this thing we're here, Brunson is hogging and going hard and thinking that's the way of us out of the game, and losing him mentally while he's down on one end, taking bangs and his body's getting beat, because it ain't easy down there. And it's a different game from being down deep in the paint at times, and basing up against these centers and other things like that, and fighting for rebounds, and then on track, doing the track star on the other end and not get anything. We got to keep him engaged. I think if we keep him engaged going into the playoffs, and if that's our mindset and that's one of our focuses, we win. We don't, problems.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of keeping him engaged, that's definitely super important. We need Brunson to score, though. I don't think it's an either or. I just think Brunson has to find that balance.
I agree.
He has to.
I agree totally with you on that. But the lopsidedness of him starting out at 17 and Cat got 1 shot or 2 shots in a full quarter, we can't have that. That's where I think we
17 to 1 shot, or 17 points to 17 shots to 1.
17 shots, 17 points, whatever it is. That range can't be that far. Of course, I'm exaggerating on the shot numbers, but it can't be that far. Where you know what I mean?
It's a motion offense, though. So if it's so this is not the offense where Brunson is coming down and directly moving the ball to Cat. So he's not the only one responsible for Cat getting the ball, and that's something that we've seen where other guys would pass over Cat as well. So
that was my first thing of saying the hockey assist. The hierarchy of that hockey assist can't be where, Mo is getting 4 shots or 5 shots in the first quarter and Cat ain't shot the ball. That can't be. That hierarchy and that mindset, that has to be installed. And that has to be something that is a focal point of the game. If it's not, we'll lose them.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Cat is going to contribute to winning, whether he's getting the ball or he's not getting the ball. Like, I don't think that if he doesn't get the ball, he's going to sulk and he's not going to be himself. Now, I just don't, because I've seen games when he didn't get the ball, he just got it off the glass. But so
are
I don't
we getting
think,
the best of him when that happens?
right. So that's 2 different things. One of them is about losing Cat. Like, Cat is going to check out. I don't think that's going to ever happen. I think he's going to still contribute to winning. But in terms of us being at our best, yes, I agree. We need to get Cat involved. And, that needs to come from the top as well. Because I've seen games where Mo and Shaman and all of these guys are just freewheeling and taking shots, and Cat only has 2 or 3 shots. I mean, I get it's a motion offense, and you got to move the ball, and sometimes it ends up in a Mo Diawara's hand or Shaman hand, and you got to take the shot. So I get that, but you can't at the end of the first quarter, to your point, having Shaman taking more shots than Cat, unless they were really, really keen on him, and that's all that was available.
But still process it through him. Just let him then let him make a lot of those decisions to say, hey, I'm gonna catch the ball and pass out of it. But when he has to be some point of engaged into it, even if it's just a false pretense to take, but you got to keep him engaged.
So if at the end of, so Brunson has 8 shots and Cat has 1 at the end of the first, how do we know Cat could have had the ball? It could have went through him, and he could have just been, depending on how the defense is playing, passed. So then counting shots is not really a way to tell, is not really a way to assess it.
I agree. But a lot of times is where I'm still saying is that he has to be engaged or process point, and he's not even getting that, where it's not processing through him at all. That we can't have that. You can't have it for full quarters like that. It doesn't have, we're not getting the best out of him, So if you want the best out of him, engage him early, get him in the game, get him motion, get him going in this defense. I think he returns. His attitude is much better. And the only thing I give you a little bit of pushback on is that he does check out. How he checks out is he sabotages his points by getting these stupid offensive foul, or he'll just do something weird where he just engages a guy and pushes him. And I think that's a lot of times is when he just is frustrated, and that's how he mentally checks out.
But when was the last time we saw that, though?
Hence why I said to you earlier, why I think he's doing better.
Okay. But is he doing, but to follow your logic, the reason why that's not happening is because he's more engaged, is basically what you're saying. That's why he's no longer fouling.
Yes. He's much more engaged. He's much more engaged because I think, too, his frustrations of not understanding the point of how the defense was played, his frustration of not getting the ball, his frustration of the position that he's constantly put in, I think he's becoming more aware of the nuances of the offense. And if our wings could catch up, we'd be all right.
Yeah. And now also the offense is changing, too, to feature him. I forgot what game it was, but the next game, the first play, they went to Cat in the post, and it's been different since then.
I think it was the Cleveland game. After we lost Cleveland, I think that's what I remember them really saying, "Oh, wait a minute, what are we doing here?" Because
yeah, and there was a lot of pushback in the Twitter community about Cat's use, and that very next game, Geoff, if it was the Cleveland game. First possession, I might have been Toronto we was playing. The next possession, the first possession of the next game, Cat was in the post. So, okay. Geoff?
Yeah, I'm not worried about Towns, and I'm not worried about Brunson. The guys I'm worried about for as far as playoff consistency are Bridges, Hart, and Anunoby. Those are the three guys that I'm worried about in terms of postseason consistency. I think that Towns is going to give us what he could give us. I think he was really good in the playoffs last year. I think Brunson is a proven playoff riser. I don't know that I can say that about those other three guys, and the bench is always, they're the bench for a reason. Like, what are we going to see from Deuce? What are we going to see from Shamet? What are we going to see from these guys when or are we going to have to shorten the rotation, to the point where our starters are more taxed come the postseason? How is that going to look? Those are the things I'm more concerned about. I don't know. Maybe it's foolishness on my part, but I trust in Towns and I trust in Brunson. I think they're both good. They, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think both just want to win, and I think they're going to do everything in their power within what they're asked, within the framework of what the team wants them to do to get to that goal, and that's where I think both of their heads are at, and sometimes we don't like what we see in an individual game in terms of results, or this guy's ball hogging, or this guy's lax or whatever. And it's an 82 game season, so I think there's probably truth in all of those things. We get to watch every game and we micro analyze every possession, and and we have that ability to do that. But I trust those two guys more than I do anyone else on this roster. So I have confidence. Maybe it's false confidence, but I have confidence in both of those guys heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too. I have a lot of confidence in Cat. I've seen this team play two ways with Cat. I've seen them play where they don't feature him, they ignore him, and they pass over him. And I've seen them play where he's much more engaged. So I've seen them play both ways. So Cat is not somebody who brings the ball up the court. You know what I mean? So I trust him, but how is the team going to play, to maximize him? And the way things have been going of late, I like it. I like it. And let's just hope it continues and we don't get into the playoffs and McBride has 12 shots at half and Cat has 3. Yeah.
Unless Deuce is 10 of 12, and then we'll
forgive him if he's 10. If he's 10 of
make an exception.
We'll make an exception. Yeah. All right. Let's just get to the chat on Cat, and then we'll move to the next. Anything else on Cat? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Let's get to the
Parrish Duggar had a super chat somewhere. There it is.
Yeah. We have Parrish Duggar. Appreciate you. Appreciate the $5 super chat. We have playoff players. Our problem is just getting through wait, let me read it over here. Our problem is just going through the motions in the season games. JB is dangerous as he figures the D out, and our D rises up. To me, that sounds more like this team can just turn it on in the playoffs, right? Our problem is just going through the motions in the season. So, I mean, if that's what the Knicks are doing, it is a problem. I do think they will lock in more in the playoffs, but I don't think that's something you should just wait for and just, we'll be able to turn it off in the playoffs. So if that's what you're saying, that it is a problem that you're just going through the motions, if they are, I agree, that is a problem. But if you're saying that they should be able to just turn it on in the playoffs, I don't know. I think they have 12 games to kind of, you want to go into the playoffs playing your best basketball.
Don't you think we are? I mean, we're 20-7 in our last 27 games. So since that 2-9, slump, I think we're winning almost 75% of our games for over the last since 2 months, really. So, and against some really good teams too. So I don't know that, it doesn't always look pretty. The starts are slow sometimes, but along with that, we're also probably the best fourth quarter team in the NBA. So, is it ideal that we get ourselves into these holes? No, but we also seem to be able to rise to the occasion come crunch time better than most teams. So, I'm one who I've lost at least half my hair because of the bad starts this team has had over the course of the season. And I didn't have much to begin with, but so I'm wondering though, the resume, especially since the 19th of January when we lost, I think that's after the Dallas Mavericks loss, we've really looked like a team that's one of the premier teams in the NBA and not one that's waiting to flip a switch come, April 19th. At least that's to me. Do you guys see it differently?
I do. I think if you look at it if you look at it in terms of winning percentage and you look at it in terms of stats, I get it. On paper, the Knicks are a premier team in this league. Winning percentage, what they're doing defensively, fourth scoring, what have you. But watching this team game in and game out, I just think that the inconsistencies are maddening. For one, when we play the really good teams, and I get it, you're playing good teams, you're not going to get everything you want to get. It's not going to be as smooth. I get that. I don't know. I don't have that feeling just yet. What the stats are saying. And maybe that's just me. I just feel like so just a little bit more they need to do process wise, even though we're winning and the defense is better and all of that. Process wise, I feel like, particularly on the offensive end, I feel like that's just me. But what about you guys? Do you guys, to Jeff's question, listen, Ajay, let me tell you, he's not going to say anything. This is what Ajay does. Ajay comes up here with the pom-poms. But he watches other games too.
Yes, I
and
do.
out of nowhere, I'll get a text. This team is not going anywhere, Queen. I can just hear him. Queen, this team is not going to win. So don't sit up here now and answer Jeff's question and say everything is looking really smooth. I don't want to hear that, Jay. I called you out already.
That's because I look at the other teams and I see the level of effort, the level of focus that these other teams have. And you got to remember, we watch, us like as Knicks fans, we watch every Knicks games, right? But then we pick and choose other, like, on the Knicks off night, we watch other games, like whatever, you want to see what the competition's doing. And then these guys play real hard and real well and real organized. Maybe that's not what they do all season, but the games that we watch when the Knicks are off, you're like, damn, like, how are we going to compete with these guys, in a 7-game series, I remember one night I was watching a Celtics Pistons game. I'm like, man, either one of those teams, we face either one of those teams, we are in trouble because they are relentless. Like I think Detroit ended up winning that game by like 3 points, but then it was a battle to the last possession. I was like, man, like I feel like we don't have that kind of determination to fight with those guys. I mean, these guys, they're playing ball. They're beating up on each other, like bloody nose, like tooth, like all kind of stuff. I'm like, man, can we do that? Our finesse game is not, it's like built for this thing, But I recognize we have the talent. It's just like they have other intangibles that are more consistent and better than what we do. You know, so it's like, like you guys are saying, man. Hopefully in the playoffs, like you know, it's Queen. I don't know if they have a switch they turn on, but they better start. They better start warming up right now to get to that switch, because come playoff time, man, you know, and when you look up and down the the Eastern Conference, the teams at the bottom, they're not easy. Either one of those teams could take us out. You're talking about Miami. Out of the blue, Miami could come in have all of a sudden. You know, they've done that year after year, right? All of a sudden, they start playing well in the postseason. Like they be having nobody on their team. Nobody, like guys they pick off the corner and like, big guys, come on, suit up, let's go. And then those guys are playing well. And they go on other teams, they can't do nothing. Like Gabe Vincent, what's he doing? Like, but in Miami, they play well. You know, and Charlotte looks like they're gonna be. It looks like they're gonna make the playoffs somehow, right? Listen, thank God we have the talent. So hopefully, like you said, these guys can turn on the switch, and then we could play with those guys that I see, man. These other teams.
Yeah, Knick Nation.
I don't know how y'all looking at it. Listen, I see it different sometimes. We just almost lost a couple of crackhead teams. So I'm not sure what y'all was looking at. I was the other night, like, you know what I mean? I had the paraphernalia at the door about to burn everything at halftime. You down how many points of these crackheads are you talking championship? So, you know, it's like we hanging out at the top with the Eagles, you know what I mean, on the top of the mountain, or, you know, we swimming down on the bottom of the stream here in the gutters. So I don't know. So I don't see it as how everybody else see it. I think I'm just saying is that the consistency. I still need to see the consistency, and I need to see the development, as you said, Queen. There's still so many other nuances in this offense, and I need to see more plays. I need to see more off-ball action. I'm not overly confident until I see those things, and I seen the needle move. So I know that there is some movement, but are we there yet where I can sit back and feel confident? No, because there's some times in certain days and what's the name where, like you say, we look like world beaters. Then there's other days where I'm lost for words and I'm screaming, and you know, and it's not that they're playing. Is that I'm not just looking at the score. I'm looking at what they're doing and not doing. So it's those things that make me like, you know, the frustration of it, because there's at times where nobody can get downhill, nobody can get a decent shot off, but also there's nobody just standing still and sitting behind each other. That is not going to work. So we got to figure it out. But as far as overly confident at this stage, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some more of the super chats. Keith Turner, I tell people this train doesn't roll without Brunson. We go as far as he can take us. You know, we need the others as well. Brunson can't do it by himself, but Brunson needs to be on point come playoff time for sure. Okay. Paris Duggar, play your rotation in the playoffs. Don't eliminate guys that helped us get there. Sometimes guys eliminate themselves in the playoffs. They just become unplayable, and you just have to sit them. You know, I agree with you. I wouldn't do that from the beginning. But how many times since we've had this show, forget our long history of watching Knick basketball, just since we've been doing this show, have we seen guys play well in the playoffs, in the regular season, and disappear in the playoffs? We've seen that a few times, right, with a few players. So, you know, sometimes the coach will stick with them no matter what, but the margins are so slim in the playoffs, right? Like sometimes you just got to be like, I can't. I got to sit him and increase somebody else's minutes. So we shall see how that works out. Deuce is coming back. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know when, maybe early April. I think he's practicing. He's shooting. I don't think he's practiced yet unless that happened today. And I missed it.
Contact, they said.
He's taking contact?
Contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's taking contact.
Okay. So the next step is practice.
Yeah, I believe practice.
The next step is practice. Okay. And we'll see. We'll see what that means. We'll see if Mike Brown just extends the rotation and Clarkson and Diawara don't play as much. Does that means that Alvarado goes to the bench and Deuce becomes the de facto point guard? Him and Shamet in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to see, and hopefully he gets back before the playoffs, and we'll see how Mike Brown plays it and get a little sense. Okay. Akendon. I hope I got that right. Akendon 7260. OG is probably the most consistent Knicks player. The problem is inconsistency in his touches and attempts, not him necessarily. If involved, as seen lately, he will be consistent. Wow. Very confident. Kendon is very confident in OG being consistent. And the reason he's not consistent is because of his touches. I don't know about that. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but I will say this, though. We're on pace to have our third 50-win season in a row, which will only be the third time in franchise history that we've done that. And it doesn't matter. The playoffs are going to be a grind no matter what. Like, if you're expecting to breeze through the playoffs like we're playing the Washington Wizards, that ain't going to happen. Every one of these games, well, maybe not everyone, but most of these games are going to be fought tooth and nail. Every series is difficult. Every series is going to be tough, and the further you get, the more difficult it's going to be. And so, I think we're battle tested. We've been through the wars. We've been to the Eastern Conference Finals now. So I think that experience could bode well for us, but. It always starts over literally. Like, it's like the regular season doesn't matter. Whatever you were, whatever seed you are, it doesn't matter. It's the first to 4 wins. And then after you get those 4 wins, it starts over and it's the first to 4 wins. And the other team is talented and they get to focus on you. And it's about making plays down the stretch. And sometimes it's about making one more play than the other guy. Sometimes it's about one bounce going high up off the glass and in, and that ruins or makes your season. We've been on both sides of that. And so, it's going to be hard. Like, there's not going to be, no matter who we face, first round through the end, it's going to be a dogfight all the way through. And the question is, do we have the toughness to fight our way through? And I believe that Jalen does. I believe that Towns does, and I believe that OG does. I think we got to get more out of Josh. We got to get more out of McCall, and we got to get more out of our bench. And we'll see where it lands. But it's going to be a bloodbath, regardless of what path we take.
Right. Ajay, as far as OG is concerned, do you agree that he's probably the most consistent Knick player?
No, we've seen OG's. OG has had stretches where he's completely disappeared. Yeah, lately he's been playing well, but we have short memories. There was a stretch, maybe I want to say about a month ago, right after the All-Star, OG disappeared. He hasn't been super consistent. But when he's on top of his game, he's good. He's obviously probably the X factor on this team. When he, if he could stay consistent, we don't even need him to score 30 points. If he could consistently give us that 18, we know we can count on that 18 every night, and he plays the stellar defense that he plays. Yeah, we'll be in a much better place. But he hasn't been. In my opinion, he hasn't been the most consistent Knick.
Join the club. I mean, it's a we could say that for most of the Knicks. I just don't think his inconsistency is due to touches, though. But that's why we're here.
Yeah,
a Kinman 7260. We appreciate your comment.
He's getting touched. Even his shooting, like it's some days, man, he's like horrendous for shooting, like his efficiency, and the players go through that, but it's just odd that our guys go through this for games after game, like for long stretches. Sometimes the next game the guy's fine, the player, they have one bad game and they keep going, but then our guys, they go for like 10 games. We don't have 10 games in the playoffs.
Yeah. Sherwin, good night. If we lose in the first round, Cat has to go. Cat has to take his 60 million elsewhere. If we lose in the first round, how do you know it's Cat? Cat can ball out in the first round and we can lose. Listen, if we lose in the first round, there will be multiple changes.
Leon Rose might go if we lose in the first round.
Multiple. So I don't know how before we even get there, Cat is the one that has to go. You don't even know how he's gonna play.
Come on, Sherwin. Come on, man.
Oh, okay. Keith Turner, OG is my favorite player on the team. He's going to be a real key factor. He's getting overlooked for some odd reason. Overlooked how?
Yeah, by who?
I mean, listen, if OG is going to play really good defense, and he's going to shoot the corner three, and we're going to get a few explosive offensive games from OG Anunoby. But if you expect OG Anunoby to be that two-way explosive player throughout the playoffs, like I was expecting early in the season, I'm not so sure about that anymore. All right. Snipes Entertainment, 9037. Since the Knicks already clinched a spot, do you think they should play the bench more to see what they have? Thoughts?
They clinched a play-in spot, but they ain't clinched a top 6 spot. I wouldn't be going crazy. Like, you still got games to win. You can't fall into the play-in. There's work to do, and I don't want to mess around either. I want to shoot as high up as we can get. If Boston slips a little, I want to be there to be able to take the 2 seed. I don't believe. No, I don't ascribe to that strategy at all. To me, let's try and win as many games as we can and get as high a seed as we can and get as much home court advantage as we can. That's where I stand. I don't know what y'all think.
I think we already know the bench, right? Mike Brown has played them most of the season.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand if what gauge to measure this question at. I'm sorry, I can't really see his name, but did he see last year's team? Did he see last year's team in the year before that? This is more rookies than we've ever played, or newcomers coming in. They've gotten minutes like that in the last 5 years. So, depending on where you're measuring from, I don't know what else he would want and who else would he want to be playing.
The name is Snipes Entertainment 9037.
Snipes Entertainment been with us a long time, though. I don't know. He got the number pegged on him at the.
Yeah, Snipes Entertainment.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see it. I'm sorry.
It is a lot smaller. My eyes are going out. I'm having trouble myself. I think they changed the font because I had to look to my other screen.
Yeah, I did change the font. I'm gonna change it back because I'm having a hard time too. The only thing missing is Brunson shooting at his highest percentage. That's all that's missing. That's all that's missing from Brunson, or is that all that's missing from the team? Let us know. All right. Let's talk about the Knicks inconsistencies. And
I'm sorry, I have to jump off. It's 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I know. Yeah,
come late, leave early.
I try to keep forward. No, we started on time. Well, I don't know. We started behind the scenes. We started behind the scenes but yeah, I do have to jump off.
Great worker, terrible employee. Great worker, terrible employee.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick Nation. Jeff, Queen, salute. Shout out to the chat. I'm gonna be listening until but I have to jump.
No
off.
doubt, brother. No doubt.
Right.
Appreciate
See you
you.
next week,
Peace
bro.
out, brother.
Next week.
Peace out. See you next week, bro.
All right. All right.
Wow, my head is bigger than I thought. Okay, let me back up.
Me too. I be bringing my.
Whoa. Whoa.
All right. Knicks inconsistencies, par for the course. Teams figuring us out. Any concern about it? Yeah, Geoff, we'll start with you. Do you feel like that's just part of the process that even against bad teams, sometimes you don't look that great?
Well, since Ajay is not here, I'm going to pull one of his cards. I'm going to say yes to everything. And what I mean is, I do think it's a concern, but I also think that part of it is part of the process, right? These are not automatons who are going to be, there's not automatons who are going to go through it, an 82 game season and with the same, rubber stamp to make the product perfectly every time. That's just not how the NBA works. But the slow starts are definitely concerning. I do like the big finishes. I'm kind of confused because a lot of times it's the same lineups. I think we need to get more scoring out of McCall. Not that he needs to be a 20-point per game guy, but he's really struggled with his shot of late. I think he needs to come back up to at least his career averages for us to really be the best version of ourselves. I really like the aggressiveness from OG Anunoby lately. I think that's been a fun. I think that's kind of maximizing him a lot more. And, we do have some questions. How does Deuce fit back in? Is he still shooting like he was before? Like he was having a career year before he went out. Is it fair to expect that he's just going to step back in and he's going to be the same guy? I don't know that that's so, but the inconsistency is always a concern of mine at least. And, and I'm not like Ajay. I don't watch a lot of other teams. Like I tend to focus just on the Knicks. And so I don't know if other teams go through these spells or not to know if it's par for the course or if it's not. But I will say this, we're 45 and 25, which 20 games over 500, I think is the best we've been all season. So, we were really bad in the first game back home after the road trip against Golden State, probably our worst performance in a win of the season. We bounced back a little bit against the Pacers, who weren't really trying. One of the worst defensive games by both teams I think I've ever seen. And so, probably not going to learn a lot against Brooklyn or Washington, except if we lose, we'll be frustrated. And we'll have a couple more chances to quote unquote prove ourselves before the real season starts. But to me, let's just get to the finish line healthy, try and get to 51, 52 wins and see where the chips fall, where that lands us as far as seeding is concerned. But just try and get to the end healthy and then, be ready to go what come April 19th with game one against whomever it is, because it's going to be a war.
Geoff, when you're watching the games, is there anything you see over the course of the season or of late that gives you concern? Because I get where the Knicks are, the winning percentage, 350 games, like all of that stuff. I totally get it. But within the game, is there anything that you see that you feel like this team is gonna? Because sometimes you can watch a team and you'll be like, this team is gonna be all right. And then sometimes you're watching, you be like, I don't care what the record says. I don't care what the stats say. This is a problem. Do you see any of that either way, good or bad?
Yeah, we need to get the whole Towns Brunson thing figured out. I think that whatever that looks like, I'm not sure. Again, I think a lot of what we're seeing is that Towns is acquiescing because that's what Coach Brown wants him to do, and so personally, I don't think that's the best strategy to maximize him. And, you know, maybe it's not, but maybe it's not about maximizing Towns to maximize the Knicks' performance. I don't know. But just in my mind, from what I've seen in my experience of the game, if we can unlock both of those guys at the same time, or equally so, unlock OG and Bridges at the same time, right? Because they kind of have the same thing. They ain't never two had a good game at the same time, right? You got OG up here, then McCall is down here, and vice versa, you know. So, you know, if you can kind of get everybody, and I think that's a big issue with our inconsistency is you don't know which Josh Hart you're going to get. You don't know which OG Anunoby you're going to get. You don't know which Mikal Bridges you're going to get, and how they interact with each other is often different from game to game. And so, you know, and then I think that's true with Landry Shamet when he's in there. Like some games, like last game, he didn't look like he knew he had ever picked up a basketball before. A couple of games ago, he looked like he could be a starter, you know. And so I think there's a lot of lack of gelling, for lack of a better phrase. And to me, I think that's what we've seen. And I think that's why we get off to the slow starts. And, you know, it's hard for me to be too down on them the way that they're playing defense right now, because, you know, when you can guard people at an elite level, then that solves a lot of problems, not all of them, but it solves a lot of them. But then at the same time, you look at the Pacers game, and the Pacers shot like 5,000% from, you know, the field and 8,000% from three with, you know, none of their good players in there. So it's like, well, is it real, or is it, you know, is it Memorex? Is it live? What is it? You know, and so I think I'm always concerned. You know that I have PTSD for the Knicks, like probably worse than anybody else. So I'm always concerned. But yeah, from that standpoint, I guess, long story short, too late, I don't really look at this team and just say, yes, rubber stamp, absolute championship contender, even though the offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, you know, pedigree, all of those things kind of point to a higher ceiling than maybe what we're looking at. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Knick Nation, yeah, your thoughts on the Knicks' inconsistencies? Is that just part of the process, cause for concern? Because we talk about it a lot.
Yeah, we do. That's quite too. So, you know what? Big shout out to the chat out there. Guys are very, you know, we know you could be other places, but you guys are engaged. And we appreciate having y'all here. Sharon, we got Latoria, Cool Breeze, Alawaz, Paris Douglas, Keith Turner. Yeah, I'm checking y'all out. Appreciate y'all. Stay engaged.
And there's some
silent listeners, hit that like button too.
Yeah, and there's some comments we haven't put up because they're like really long. So we'll get to that during the when we do the chat between segments. We'll get to you. Like Latoria has a really good comment I want to get to.
Yeah, Latoria, she should be up here. She got a lot of energy tonight. She should be up here. Maybe I can embarrass her to get her on, you know?
The door's open.
She has the link. Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm saying if I can embarrass her to get her on here. Nah, but it's just, you know, we've talked about it a lot. The concerns are I think they're there, they're valid. You know, this is not the same team as last year. We have the same personnel, but it's a different team for the most part. You know, what I love to play around and say, you know, Deuce is the answer to everything. When Deuce comes back, you know, you know, pause, your spaghetti ain't tasting right, put some Deuce on it. You know what I mean? Deuce, you know, we're hoping that Deuce is the answer for everything. I hope so too. I look forward to him, you know, what his comeback look like, you know, from game to game. And hopefully, I think the biggest adjustment for him will be how the defense plays. I think the other stuff he'll figure out quickly, but I think it'll take memory, you know what I mean, repetition over and over to really say that I'm forcing somebody a consistent one way at times, and where his help is coming from, where a lot of times is he's been asked to be, you know what I mean, shut down left, right, or whatever. So I think that has changed since he has left, because that's part of the defense where we've seen it that it's grown. The other, as far as all these other inconsistencies, I'm like you, Steph. I'm waiting, you know what I mean, it's playoff time. Let's get it there. And hopefully down this stretch, we can get some wins. We can figure, you know, a few things more, you know, a few other things out. And more than that, than anything with this team, please stay healthy, because I think we take too much of a back seat sometime when players go down. So I'm hoping down the stretch we can go in this playoffs healthy more than anything else.
Yeah. And I think when we talk inconsistencies, like, we're not talking about every team will lose it. Every good team over the course of the season will lose a game to a bad team. Like that happens. I don't, at least that's not what I'm talking about with inconsistencies. For me, it's just one game looking like a world beater against a really good team. Denver, San Antonio, like looking like world beaters. You like, whoa. And just not being able to sustain it. I mean, even if it's not on that level, not being able to sustain it at least close to that level. And then another game, not just one game, but another few, just look like, are we struggling with Utah? Are we struggling with Watch? Like, you understand? Like, it's the wildly, the performance, how maddeningly and wildly different they are. That's what I'm talking about, right? There's going to be games you're going to lose to a Washington. You know, it happens. How the energy that the Knicks start games with, to me, is concerning. Now, they were focused in against Indiana. They still gave up 34 points in that first quarter, but the energy was popping off the screen. But they don't live there. They don't live there. I think that's what it is with this team. There's two different energy levels to this team, two different execution levels to this team. And I don't know if that's just a personality thing where, you know, you can do what they did against Indiana in that first quarter, but asking them to do that every single game is just not going to happen. Like, it's just not who they are. Mike Brown wants to play super fast. He wants to push the pace, and they may do that for a game or two here and there, and you'll see the results of it. But because it's not second nature to them, it's not who they are, they can't keep it up. And that's what I'm seeing from this team. It's like, and I see what Mike Brown wants to do, and where we're able to do it, it looks great, but they're not living there. And I am concerned because the margins are slim in the playoffs. You can't come out and you might come out a bad first quarter and not be able to recover for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So I think what I want to see them is they have an identity. This is our identity. We're comfortable with our identity. And this is just how we play. And I still think the Knicks are trying to find that. Like, you watch Detroit, that's Detroit. They may even lose to Washington, but they played their game. They just lost. They missed shots. Something happened. They just lost. The Knicks look different each game. Like, it's like they just look like a totally different team. So we're just not there yet in terms of who we are, how we like to play, and what I mean by there yet, this is what we do every game. The results may be different, but this is what we do every game. And I think that's my concern, that we're still not there heading into the playoffs.
I agree 100%. You was cooking. You hit it. Then that's the nail on the head right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my concerns for my little Knickies, you know. And they come up against a team that's used to playing how they play. You know, and we still trying to figure out Brunson Cat. Shout out to Keith Turner. We need other players, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how Brunson and Cat play together. You think that's overstating? Is that true, or have we just said it so much that we're starting to believe it?
I don't think I believe that. More so, I just think if they have good quality games, we do need them to play better together in some degree. But to me, it just has to be more so. If Brunson is playing well, Cat needs to be playing somewhat well, you know what I mean? Or if Cat's playing well, Brunson needs to be playing well, you know what I mean? There needs to be some form of a balance point to it more than anything. But I think, honestly, my honest opinion, if our wings don't pick up the consistency, we're going home.
So they're the swing factors.
To me, 100%. When they play well, we play well.
Wow. I mean, because it's such a boost. Like it's such a, it's such a boost if you get scoring from OG and Mikal Bridges.
Yep, because they play a lot with the second units, how they bounce in and out. And if those guys between Hart, OG, Mikal, if those are, I don't see teams beating us. It makes them too vulnerable to Brunson and to Cat. And I think that's the secret sauce. But when it doesn't happen, it's like having a dry burger. I don't like it.
All right. Shout out to Sean Anthony. Appreciate you. JB needs to find a balance with scoring and handing out assists. His competitive nature is a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I think come playoffs, there's going to be times when we're going to need the burner, but there's also going to be times when we won't. And I think he's going to have to figure that out. And it's not necessarily scoring and assists as much as it's scoring and passing, because sometimes it may not lead to an assist. It may be a hockey assist. Sometimes the player may miss the shot, even though the pass was there, right? But that balance between scoring and handing out assists. But I also think sometimes, I forgot what game it was where we couldn't get anything going, and I was looking for the burner at that point. I was like, all right, nobody has it. I was looking for, and I think I said it in the game recap. I said that was a game where even though Brunson wasn't efficient, I was looking for 30 points on 30 shots. Nobody had it. Like, that's just where you just have to take the shots, even though you're not shooting well. At least you can get your shot up, and you might need to put up 30 shots to get 30 points, but we just need it to generate points. So there's going to come a time, and you'll see this from all of the good players. It's not just every player will dial their number sometimes multiple times in a row, but they're reading the game though. And like, this is what we need, right now, to put this game away, or this is what we need right now to get back in the game. And they run off 6 straight, 8
I think
straight.
back in your day, Steph, back in your day, was you a gunslinger? I think you was a gunslinger. I think how they say when they gave you the ball, it was just like a bottomless pit. Like, that ball ain't coming back, y'all. You can forget it. Turn around.
It wasn't, but I've watched a lot of the greats. And what made them great was the win. When they did it. People could talk about how they did it, but what separated, don't have a seizure, Geoff, Bird and Magic and Michael and Kobe and I miss KD and all of the greats is when they did it. Everybody wants to focus on the how. Oh, this one is a better player than this one because they're more talented, and this one can dribble better, and this one can. When the lights are the brightest, those guys weren't phased. It was like they was playing in the park. Like, nothing phased them. And the tougher the game got, the more focused they became. Like, this is the greats, So my point is, There's going to be times Brunson's going to have to dial it up. That's what you expect from the great when nothing is happening. There's an expectation at that point. And if you don't take it, in my opinion, you're not a great. Like if nothing is happening and you still want to just pass it around and not take it upon yourself to be like, I'm going to make something happen right now. I'm about to put this game away right now. I seen Michael do it. I seen Bird do it. I've seen those guys put the game away. I don't want people to come back here the next game talking about how Brunson didn't pass the ball around. Because I'm going to come back and say, at this point in the game, we needed Brunson to take 4 shots in a row, and he didn't. And that's a problem. Again, it's the win. Sometimes when I'm watching Brunson, he's too passive now. Like, it's like he's on the other end of it, of we need you right now. And he's still playing, passing it around. So I feel like I don't think that balance is there yet. I still don't think the balance is there yet. I think it's.
I remember after we lost to the Miami Heat in the playoffs a couple years ago, dear friend of mine, very wise person, said from that point forward, they were going to be looking at Jalen Brunson's process.
Facts.
And you said I want to watch how he progresses with his process, how he mentalizes, if that's even a word, the game, how he reads the game, how he elevates himself to those other greats, the Kobe's, the Doncic's, whoever you want to put, those top tier players that by their last name, right? The greats of the greats, and those don't come around every day for sure. I mean, we went 25 years without an all-star, it felt like, so much less, a guy who's there's a difference between being an all-star and being a player on the level that you're talking about, right? There's a lot of guys. Darius Garland was an all-star. Darius Garland is not on the level of player that you're talking about. So it's really a big question, and it's the bet that the Knicks have made. And some people have said that he can't do it because he's too small, or he's too this, or he's too that. And our front office firmly believes that he can, and only time will tell which one is right. But I think the evolution of that process and the better that he gets at figuring that part of the game out, the tougher the Knicks become to beat. And I think that may be as much a key as anything, because I think when he's doing that at an elite level, that's going to bring out the best in everybody else.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, people think I'm talking about Brunson just going ham. I'm not talking about him going ham. I'm talking about him being the maestro. Where you're going downhill, that pressure is always on the defense, and they don't know whether you're going to score or whether you're going to pass. They double team, boom, you pass it. They choose not to double team, you score. It's boom, boom, boom. Like, it's just clockwork. And I'll say this. If Brunson is going to be the best player on a Knicks championship team, that process is going to have to be elite.
Impeccable, in fact.
If you're the best player, and you have the ball in your hands as much. Now, I know we run this motion offense or what have you, but Brunson is still has the ball in his hand a good amount of time to have an impact on the game. That part of his game has to be it. Now, if you're going to be the second best player because we bring in somebody else, different story. But you going to be the best player, that process has to be on point, and the playoffs will tell the story for Brunson. I've said that a few years ago, and each playoff you get another opportunity to go out there and show it. And
I just think, if I could add one thing with it, is what are we, 70 games in? And to me, honestly, my real big questions are the coaching staff at this point on some of it, to me, has missed the mark. And it's behind the point of Brunson, and it's more so Brunson has, his numbers are a little bit lower. But to me, we brought Brown in here, and why I say he missed the mark was because this guy still has to work so hard for a shot. We want him to get those 30. We want him to be in those, in those situations. But in the fourth quarter or in certain times of the game, just period, we brought him here. We thought that this motion offense point was going to be where it was easier for Brunson to get these points, easier for Cat to get these points. The adjustment has gotten to a point where it has gotten a bit easier for Cat. But Brunson, I mean, part of that is his game, but part of it is like where we thought it would be a lot more, curls, catch and shoot, him having it easier getting downhill. And it, to me, the where the offense is still failing at is that half the time he gets across the half court, boom, he's facing a double or the threat of the double is there. Then they don't motion and move the ball fast enough to make a team pay for that. And to me, that's where it starts, and it has to get better at certain points. But to me, a lot of times I thought that's what we brought this kind of offense here for, to get these guys easier, more efficient shots. And I think we've so far missed the mark on that. And it's like we're in 10th grade right now. We're not in 12th. I don't see us exactly at the graduation line right now. So, but that's just my take point on it.
I mean, some of it could be Brown, but some of it could be just the players just not getting it. Maybe, they haven't, maybe there's more to the offense that he just feels like they're not ready for. Maybe they're struggling with the basics. I don't know. I don't know enough about schemes to be able to, to say that.
You don't care about no schemes. You shooting. I know you, Queen. I see you shooting.
That pace of game shows we have another level. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the Pacers game. Nothing. This was a team who started McConnell. Shout out to McConnell. I love McConnell. I wish he was a Knick. Who's started the only starter out there was Nesmith. Right? I think. I mean, so I'm not taking anything away from that game. All right. Brunson is actually a very good passer, but he has to have chemistry with you, and he definitely has to trust you. And the main point is he actually has to like you. Well, that's a problem, right? I mean, whether he likes you or not, it's about. Come on, I don't even have to explain that. He learned from that game, the Miami game, that passing to an open heart could work. He's Boudreaux. Come on, relax. Brunson does need to pass, but in my opinion, I've said this so many times, only enough to keep the offense honest so he can have the room to do what he does. That's my take on it. All right. Anything else about the inconsistencies? Let's talk about McBride coming back before we get out of here really quick. McBride should be back soon. What's your thoughts on that? I know he's going to start practicing soon. I'm not sure he'll have, 9 games, 8 games. I don't know how many games he'll have before the playoffs start to ramp up. Just your thoughts on him coming back, rotation-wise, and just what you expect from him game-wise. Geoff?
Well, first of all, I never expected we would ascend to a top 5 defense with him on the bench. Like, think about that. Like, because we said for I said till I was blue in the face that best point of attack defender, that we've done a lot of our damage without him in the lineup. So that's a credit to Brunson. That's a credit to Cat. That's a credit to Landry Shamet. That's a credit to all of those guys. I kind of think that as far as it goes, I'd rather him get back sooner and get more games under his belt, because I think that if he can come back and shoot the ball like he was shooting the ball before his injury, I think he adds another layer to our championship cake. You know what I mean? He can just grease the wheels there. You can open with them, you could close with them, however you want to do it. But and I think that he fits well with our bench unit. So even if you're just playing him off the bench, I think he's a guy that you could pair with Alvarado and play a high tempo game with it. With the second unit, if you wanted to. He gives us additional versatility. He's still not a point guard, so I don't think he should, be taking all of Alvarado's minutes per se. But I think that you'd have to expect that Clarkson and Diawara would certainly lose some of their minutes, if not all of them, until somebody else gets hurt. But it depends on what he looks like when he comes back. Give him a chance to get his feet wet and a couple games, because we know he's not shy. Between he and Daddy, he and Kumo D, they're gonna fire it up as soon as they get it. They're not looking to pass. So either one of them. And so if he's on and he's deadly like he was before, then what a weapon to have on both ends of the court. If he's if he's struggling with his shot and he's back to his Bam Bam days from his first 2 seasons, then I wonder if he needs to have a consistent rotation spot, because we've seen other guys step up in his absence and not really see the team skip a beat, in my opinion. So what should be fascinating, I'm glad that he's I was worried that he wasn't going to be cleared to play until the last game of the season, and then you don't have any time to kind of gauge and see where he's at. But I think it's really good that we're going to get a chance to see him where he's at. And if it means that's a couple games when Josh Hart's not in the lineup and we get to see some combinations with some of these other guys, because he hasn't played with Alvarado yet, for instance. So I think that that's a combination that you need to look at and see where it goes and how it goes. So very curious to see how he does. But I think that Deuce is a great connector and a glue guy. So adding him back to the lineup should just be a positive for this team.
Yeah, Knick Nation, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. Big shout out to East Blue Drew. He came in, a lot of energy, pumped up. I like that in the chat. I see you.
The anti-Brunson, East Blue Drew. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing.
I'm gonna say it say pause for the YNs. My thought on Deuce coming back. Woohoo! That's my listening. I'm happy to see him back. It's one of my favorite players. I believe one of our greatest value players. So yeah, I think he's a big connector for us. I think he adds so much to the second unit. If we can get him back in phase, this team, that he takes this team to another height, especially when he's on like that. And when him and Brunson are shooting well and they can spread the floor like that, I think that even opens the door more even for Cat and everybody else. His consistency in the three-pointer area, we missed that. He's a 40% three-point shooter, 40 and above, am I correct, right? So, of course, we missed that, because I think currently right now, I don't think we have a 40% three-point shooter who's currently playing. So
Josh Hart.
Is he?
I think he's 39. I was just messing.
Oh, wow. Diawara and Shaman have fell below 40%. Well, Shaman has been breaking of late, so he may have.
Yeah. He's been a little brickish, but that, like you say, players go through that. I think his role changed just for a game or two. He's playing a lot of high minutes, and like you said, some this week, these games that we're playing, we got to get some of these guys some rest too. I think we need to set some of them. I want their legs at full throttle. I wish we could sit Mikal, but that ain't gonna happen. But it's no excuses in the playoffs. Like you said, anybody can be beat, and when you come in, you can miss a game for just be off on a quarter here, a quarter there, and never make it back up. So
Facts.
I'm happy to
I'm
see
also
Deuce back.
respecting the streak, but how about a game where we just put him in for 3 minutes and then let him sit the rest of the game? Like I want to respect McCall's Iron Man 100%, but you could have a game if you wanted to get him some rest. You could have a game where he just plays 3 minutes, like we did last game of the year last year. I mean, if you literally wanted to give him a breather, and it might be the best thing for him considering how poorly he's been shooting of late. Just to say, hey man, we love you, bro. We don't want to mess with your streak. We think you're valuable, but we just want to extend the streak, give you the rest of the day off so you can just kind of take a breather. We think in the long run it's going to be better for you, and see where that lands. I want to win all the rest of our games. I don't want to sabotage anything, but if the coaching staff feels like that's needed for the long haul, then I think that's a way to do that without just yanking him out of the lineup and saying your streak is over. We're putting in Geno Smith. Sorry, Eli.
Right. Yeah, listen, I think the more players we have going into the playoffs, the better, because somebody is going to disappear. And, so we're wondering, like, what's the rotation going to be like? It will work itself out. Trust me. Some matchups are good for some players, more than others. And sometimes they're having a bad series. Between Clarkson, Shamet, McBride, 1 to 3 of those players, any given night, any given series. So I do feel really good about, that. And that's what you want as a coach, just to have options. If Shamet is bricking game after game, that's it. Like, the margins are slim. More minutes for McBride. If McBride is not getting up to speed, the way we thought he would, maybe his minutes are low to return and he's not shooting well. Maybe Clarkson gets more minutes. I mean, that's just how it's gonna go. In the playoffs. Keith Turner says, I just don't think Deuce is going to beat out Jose for playing time. And we don't know how McBride is even going to look coming back. Well, that part we don't know, and hopefully he gets back in enough time to be ready for the playoff. And Deuce and Jose plays different positions, so I don't even see that as being.
Agreed. That's what I was going to say too. I don't see them as the same position at all. One's a 1 and one's a 2. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And if Bridges continues to struggle and Deuce comes back like he hasn't missed a step, guess who's getting some of those minutes? Like, I can definitely see him playing Deuce heavy minutes down the stretch if Bridges continues to struggle. For example, if he's back to the Deuce that we're used to. So it'll be interesting going forward. It's good to have another depth piece with this lineup. It's good problems to have, but to have 9 solid guys that you feel like you can rely on and a couple of fringe guys that, if you had to play in an emergency, you feel good about, I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in Keith. Just going to say that. I'm sorry.
Why is that? Oh,
yeah. Come on now. Jose over Deuce can do everything that Jose basically does, and in certain instances better. That's just on my point of it.
I don't
He's definitely
think
a better
so.
shooter.
When it comes, that can. Part, yes, absolutely. But in terms of running a team, I don't think so. I mean,
I'm not sold on Alvarado, running the team. I'm still not sold on it.
Okay. Right.
That's one of my favorite things about Alvarado. He can't shoot to save his soul, but except for once every 7 games, he'll have a good shooting performance, but from the perimeter. But I am absolutely 100% sold that he can run an offense, that he gets Cat involved very, really well. He's done a good job with the lob pass to Mitchell Robinson. when those two have played together. He sets up the puppies, if you will, and gets them in the right spot. I completely disagree with you on that. I think he does that at a much higher level than we ever saw from Deuce McBride. And I love Deuce as a player. He's just not a point guard. Jose Alvarado is a point guard.
No, I won't disagree with you on that point. I think the most point that he can do is probably bring the ball up a little bit better than Deuce. But as far as dictating and running the offense and motion and other things, he's not the guy. I don't think his value comes anywhere close to what Deuce value was names. So that's why I'm more out on it than anything else.
Specifically at the point guard position you're talking about, because we're not talking about Deuce.
I'm just talking because we can't really, because it's hard to then phase in and then say point guard, because when he's out there, but when he's out there, he's acting as a guard. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that he's the point of a point guard, because we all know Deuce is not that guy.
Deuce or Alvarado?
Deuce.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just disagree. I think Deuce handle has gotten better. I'm not even concerned about Deuce handle. I think his handle has gotten better, but I'm talking about commanding the offense. You move over here, Cat. I need you. I need you over here, like running the sets, running the actions. I don't see that from Deuce. Lobs to Mitchell Robinson. I mean, it does happens at times. Don't get me wrong. For me, behind Brunson, if Brunson has to go to the bench for any period of time because he's in foul trouble, misses a game, and you ask me who do I want at the one, is Alvarado. You ask me who do I want if we need shooting, definitely Deuce. Definitely.
You got two players at the end of the bench. They're Deuce and Alvarado. You're down 5 points, 6 points. Who you putting in?
But that's two different things. You're talking about who's the better player. Deuce is the better player. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about who's running the show, because in the playoffs, decision making matters. Decision making matters in the playoffs. Having a general matters in the playoffs.
And I give you that. But at the end of the game, let's just say Brunson has to come out. Those are my two names there. Who are you putting in the game?
It depends what we're doing. If we're going to run cat pick and roll, I'm putting Alvarado in.
Same scenarios. Is you're down 6 points, 5 points.
I'm putting
Brunson
in
has
Alvarado.
to come out against. You're putting in Alvarado? No way.
Because who's running the sets? Who's running that pick and roll with Cat?
For one, I think that there are other guys that once I get that ball past half point, that there are other guys, and as far as motion and moving the ball, that I'm still way better off, because that's what teams are going to do. Teams are going to drop off Alvarado and say, beat me. You ain't dropping off Deuce and saying, beat me. And when I'm down 6 points or whatever in the point game, I need that. I don't need what Alvarado does at that stage of the point of it. I need what Deuce does, and I need it badly, because Deuce can balance out defensively, I think.
That's one situation. In general, though, I hear you. In that specific situation, you want to go with Deuce, fine. In the playoffs, who do I want playing the minutes behind Brunson? To me, it's Deuce. I mean, is Alvarado behind Brunson. Brunson is not on the floor. I would like Alvarado on the floor over a Deuce and Shamet. Now, Alvarado and Deuce, Alvarado, Shamet and Deuce, but I would prefer in the playoffs, Alvarado in there over a Deuce and Shamet backcourt. That's okay. I mean, we don't have to. I mean, we agree
to disagree.
Yeah, we agree. We agree to disagree. We agree to disagree. And
that sound you hear is Wiz taking away his like and stomping out the door.
I mean, listen, Let us know what you think in the chat. Let us know, replay gang, what you think in the playoffs. Do you want to see Alvarado in a shooting guard, or do you want to see Deuce and another shooting guard? Deuce and Shamet, Deuce and Clarkson, when Brunson is not on the floor.
I would love to see Deuce and Alvarado together. I think that combination defensively, the pressure you could put on the ball with those two. I know it's small, but like you could hound 94 feet and make people's lives miserable. That would be fun. I think those two would work well. And Alvarado could drive and kick to him for a knockdown, catch and shoot three. I think that combination could be deadly together off the bench.
Oh yeah. He likes guards and he likes what's name, so you probably will see it. He definitely likes to test the chemistry, so you will see it because they haven't been on the team together. So
Brown doesn't care about height, at all. Sherman, I know, is very disappointed. It's the first thing we talked about, Deuce, what did Sherman say? The Knicks get smaller when Deuce comes back.
They do. He's not wrong.
Oh God. Hakeem the Dream. Brunson is very limited and is a huge liability defensively. Well, defensive liability has improved. Limited, I'm like limited defensively overall.
Not limited scoring wise. He's one of the best 3-level scorers in the game. He can shoot it from deep. He can take you off the dribble. He can get to the foul line. He shoots it efficiently. He's not a bad assist player. Like, where is the limitation? Yeah, if you want to talk about, dunking the ball because he doesn't have good hops and he doesn't, he's not very tall. Okay, he's limited that way, but his defense has been vastly improved. He's been on the floor in 26 of the 27 games where we've had the best defensive rating in the NBA, playing alongside Cat as well. So I think we love to dog him when he doesn't play well, but I think we have to give him his flowers when he does. And of late, and I think it's affected his shooting, if you want to be honest, he is putting in the effort on that end of the floor that I think it has affected his shooting percentages. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I love that defensive effort we're seeing from both Brunson and Cat in this latest stretch.
Facts. Big shout out to the defensive coordinator who figured it out and put him in the best possible position for this team. So,
okay. Cool Breeze 718. When Brunson is not on the floor, Jose is a floor general, but only to spell him. Jose is needed for only 8 to 10 minutes in the play. Yeah, you're just playing behind Brunson. Brunson's minutes are gonna go up in the playoffs. Trust me. Though Brown has played them together. Like I said, he doesn't, a small backcourt doesn't seem to faze him. All right. For those who don't know, Cade Cunningham is out, collapsed lung. I think Boston is 3.5 games behind them, and the Knicks are 5 games behind. Let me see. I have it right here. Yes, Boston is 3.5 games behind. New York is 5.5 games behind. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who steps up for them because he is the engine. He reminds me of that team that first year or two when we went to the playoffs and Brunson was, the engine to make this team go. At least Brunson had Randall. Randall was hurt. That's Detroit. Like, he's the engine. So it's going to be interesting to see. Boston can very well make it to first. The Knicks may very well make it to second. We shall see.
Oh, yeah. I told you the other day, Steph, that I wasn't scared of not as much as Boston, but what's his name came back?
Tatum.
Tatum's not the one I'm worried about. It's the little man. He is balling.
Who's that?
What's the cat that he comes off the bench, but he starts sometime for them. The little dude. Pritchard. I can't think of his name. Pritchard is balling.
Yeah.
Pritchard is balling. I watched a couple of games with him. Pritchard is balling. He has improved immensely. His shot, he's scary. He gets going, he's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. If the season ended today, and this changes depending on the day, but if it ended today, the Knicks would play Orlando 3-6.
Lace them up. Look, only one team I worry about in the playoffs, and that's the Knicks. I think if we play our best game, we can beat anybody. If we don't play our best game, we can lose to anybody. And that speaks to the inconsistency that you talked about in the last segment of the show. I honestly believe that there's no team in the East or West that I think if we are at top peak performance, best of our game, that we could beat any of them. I think we've shown that by our performance against the Spurs a couple of times this year, where we, seems like we're the only team that can beat them in some respects. And then you say, and then you see us in LA back-to-back games, and we look like we can't make two with a pencil. And so, if we're playing like that against Orlando or Philly or whoever the case may be, then we're in trouble the reverse way too. So, it could absolutely go in any direction, but I just think that we're kind of, in my opinion, locked into the 3 seed at this point. So I think Detroit has 14 games left, and we have 12. If they go 3-11 without Cade, which is possible, we would have to make up 6 games, because remember, we have to finish ahead of them because they have the tiebreaker. So we have to finish 6 games ahead of them. Then that means that we would have to go 9-3 in our last 12. It's possible, but then what does Boston do? Because Boston is ahead of us as well, right? So we would have to.
I'm talking more about the second place. I think Boston has a really good shot of making up 3.5 games on Detroit. No, and
they
making
do, but we would still have to pass Detroit to get to the second spot, though. Either way, right? I mean, whether Boston stays ahead of us or not, it's
a slower, but it's not a steeper climb to the second spot as it is to the first.
Well,
right?
I mean, if you're assuming that Boston is going to pass Detroit, it's the same climb
to get to second, then to get to first.
Yes, because we would have to pass Detroit either way to get to second. Unless you say we're going to pass Boston and Boston's going to stay behind Detroit. Which is possible too. I didn't think about that. So, yeah. So if you think we're just going to catch Boston because we're only a game and a half back, that's a possibility. But I don't really see them falling off over these last few games. If we beat them head to head, I think that makes a difference. So yeah, okay, I get where you're coming from now. Yeah, I see what you're talking about, and maybe we can catch Boston still. I'm skeptical of that just because Boston scares me, but I just think they're playing really well right now.
Scare me. The Knicks inconsistency scare me. If the Knicks was consistent, I would be getting my yeah. The Knicks
get that championship tattoo ready for your.
Yeah, it takes us too long to figure out what teams are doing to us at times. Sometimes it's like they're still trying to figure it out. Then all of a sudden, late third quarter, they may start figuring it out.
That's my point.
Them to figure it out early. Yeah.
What teams are taking away? What do you have? Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And Latoria said earlier, Cat is always a mismatch for the most part.
Oh, yeah, in the East, yeah.
Even in the West,
yeah.
Nobody can guard Cat. It's just like nobody can guard Joker. Nobody can guard Giannis. Nobody can guard Tatum. Nobody can guard Cat. He's a 3-level scorer. Cat can take himself out of the game at times with stupid offensive fouls, but when he's when he's on his, when he's doing his thing, you can't stop him.
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So let's just get to some of the comments, and then we out of here. Akendo 7260. My fear is Brunson will deviate from the team basketball game plan in the playoffs again and ignore Cat and OG, whose involvement is instrumental to our recent success. We must hold Brunson accountable. I think you're right. And not just that. And hopefully Brunson understands that this getting them involved opens things up for him also. Right? So that they can't load up. So
makes him more impactful. In fact, if you have to worry about what Cat is doing and what OG is doing, it makes it a nightmare for every defense. In fact, the most successful play in the NBA right now is when Cat sets a screen, because when he gets into that action on the screen, teams they don't want him shooting it from outside. They don't know what to do. There's not really a good way to respond and answer to that. And it's been one of the most successful plays in the NBA is Towns setting a screen for whomever.
Yeah, I think I lie in the confidence that it's the playoffs. So you lock into more film. These guys are pros. They should be able to understand whoever they're playing, the matchups, their tendencies better. They've been doing this for years. That part of it should be repetitious to them, how to lock in and how to stay focused on it. So on that part, I'm confident that they can do that part, and they should have a better understanding of the readings. And hopefully, like you say, in the playoffs times where there isn't this early point of struggles, because you've had the film, you understand what they're doing to you, unless it's something that they come out so differently and that you can't make that point of an adjustment. But the tendency of that player, they should know, because those certain things don't change. How he likes to shoot, where he likes to shoot, certain points of how he may dribble twice, going to his right. Those things don't change for the most part. So on film, they lock in. I have confidence in that point, but it remains to be seen because it's the playoffs. So we'll see.
Shout out to Greg, always rocking with us. So since Cade is out, does that mean if Detroit gets knocked out in the playoffs before his return, should we definitely make the finals if Detroit is not in the picture no longer?
Boston's still there. I mean, you got to get by them too. So, it depends where you are in the bracket, right? If you're, if you avoid Detroit and you get, someone other than Boston until the finals, I think that helps. But, we'll see. I don't know how long. Like, is he good? I hear he's reevaluated in 2 weeks. So do we expect him to miss playoff games, or? I mean, because
somebody said he might miss the first round, but that was just somebody in the chat.
So yeah, we kind of have to. And then
measurements. They gave it measurements to a couple other players who have done it, and one player was 3 weeks. One player who they said somebody was 3 months. So it was a huge variation between it. When it came up across, I forgot, either Yahoo, Sharam, somebody, they gave other measurements of a few people who had gone through that kind of injury.
Well, I feel bad for him because he was a legit MVP candidate, and if he misses the rest of the season, he's only at like 60 or 62 games, which would knock him out of the conversation, which is a shame because he really is deserving, in my opinion. Like, if you're talking about a guy who has the least talent around him and has done more with less, I struggle to find. I mean, respect to SGA, but I think and I don't think anybody would argue that Detroit has a better supporting cast than Oklahoma City, and Detroit has the best record in the East. Like, I think he's a no-brainer MVP candidate if he qualified, but it looks like he's not going to be eligible, which stinks for him, and it stinks for the league because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Sherman, I just watched the Hornets game. I don't want to play them. Okay. Snipes Entertainment. This season, Brunson was supposed to be off ball, but we don't have a consistent ball handler. I think he's supposed to be off ball more. I don't know if he's supposed to be like off ball, period. Listen, to me, that's if we can get a 6'4" point of attack point guard in here, and Brunson and him, take turns or whatever in terms of initiating the offensive set. Oh man, that's a championship team, in my opinion. Not that this team isn't, but
Wondering if maybe you see some Jose and JB in the playoffs.
JB got to get that shot. I mean, Jose got to get that shot together. I mean, the margins are slim. You can't. I mean, he does play them together in the regular season. But yeah, that shot has to come around.
Amen.
Cool Breeze, this is coming out of the first round. Let's have more faith in this team. Okay. Okay. Any Knicks team in every era has had the same issue. Let's be real. What issue? Inconsistency. Victoria B, it's hard to get up for them teams. Sometimes you play the schedule and get caught out there. I'm not in panic mode, but I'm not convinced we can go all the way. Wow. Okay. Thuney got it. Hope I got that right. Hornets are not winning the East. Okay. Right.
I'm laughing at old head who came in and said, y'all still up? Because it's the irony of the name and the way he said, y'all still up.
Say what you want. Boston looks amazing, and yet we're not going away. Okay. All right. Okay. We also seen players show up in the playoffs that did nothing during the season. That can happen. Okay. False. I seen OG have terrible nights with touches. JM 3000. I wish I had that much faith in OG. Toria B. OG's offense is hit or miss. He'd be disappearing for games with an S. Okay. That's a fact. You could play poorly and hit some timely shots at the end and come away with the game. You know, how many times have we seen it?
For real.
All right.
Last year, remember? Shoot.
Yeah, we talked about this. Shout out to James McMillan. Cade Cunningham out for the season. So do you think the Knicks can take over the number 1 spot? Yep. OG's defense is there every night. Most nights. There was a stretch where his defense wasn't great.
Yeah, Pascal Siakam kind of took him behind the woodshed in that Pacers game before the All-Star break. That was not pretty.
No, what's the name took him to the shed, and that was LA. Not the Lakers,
Kawhi?
but the Kawhi.
Yeah, there was a few. Giannis, Kawhi,
Yeah.
Cade. When we played Detroit, yeah. I mean, he was just coming back off the toenail thing.
So, yeah.
So maybe we might want to give him a little bail, but Victoria B, the roster needs all its pieces to win. That includes Cat, and they need him to play big. Most games, he's the mismatch on the floor. Knicks fail at taking advantage of that. I thought Cat spoke about that after the game one time. He said that the Knicks have a way they like to play and they don't deviate from that based on matchups. Right or wrong, agree, disagree. I did hear him say that. If Cat can live in the paint and force a double team, that will open shots for JB, OG, and Bridges. Okay.
Teams don't really double team Cat though.
They don't.
That's not the coverage that he's. Unless I'm missing something, I very rarely see them double team Towns anywhere on the floor.
Because we don't go to him enough where he becomes a problem. Where teams are like, okay, we're gonna have to change our strategy. So I don't. Yeah,
They do, but they do it in a different way. What they do is they load a guy on his down in the paint, and they're waiting for him. When he
turn.
catches the ball at the top, that's when they do it a lot. It's not like an obvious run up and double on him, but the guy is sitting there waiting on him in the lane. And this is where he gets a lot of those fouls too, because he can't avoid the guy in those things. Sometimes you see him do it where, he'll step through the guys, or he'll be able to get to that corner and that edge and still get it in. So they do double them, but not double them. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
We can wait and see how this goes. I guess he means in the playoffs. But if we don't go far, we got to break up Brunson and Cat. Somebody has to move on. Okay.
Or maybe add to them and become better that way.
Pressure. Shout out to Queen, Geoff, Knick Nation. Watching the Knicks play the Pacers made me feel like they can be that team. If you beat, you will have to give everything you got. They can be that team that if you beat, you will have to give everything you got. From your lips to God's ears. Okay. A Kendron 7260, the bad start and low energy has to do with Brunson starting off, chucking up shots and not involving his teammates early. That's it. That's where the low energy is coming from. Okay. All right. How many 30-plus games could Hart have had this season if Brunson wasn't holding the ball?
Probably one.
Probably as many as he had. Hart ain't that dude. Hart ain't that dude. Even if you give him shots, touches, he's not that dude. So Hart not having 30-plus games has nothing to do with Brunson. Cat, you want to talk about Cat? Maybe you want to talk about somebody else. Hart is not the best example. Okay.
Hey, there's two Knick chicks.
Shout out to two Knicks chicks. Appreciate you. What's your take on Mikal possibly gambling and how he blew that wide open layup in that Pacers game? I hope that was a joke. Now I hope you didn't hear something and we didn't hear it yet.
We don't need none of that now.
Point shaving now. Mikal is in a shooting slump. I still think he's doing the other things. He's just not shooting the ball. He's just not shooting the ball well. And I think that'll come along. I just think he's in a shooting slump. You guys think it's more than that? Do you think it's impacting the rest of his game?
His defensive metrics are up, so from that standpoint, I don't think it's affecting the rest of his game. But to me, Bridges is in a tough spot because of he's Mr. 5 picks, whether he likes it or not, right? And so that's an all-star payment that we made for a guy who's not an all-star player, and he's gonna. He's always going to have that badge on him, fair or not. And so, it's not his fault. In other words, if we had gotten him for, 2 first-round picks or something like that, I don't think the level of outrage would be nearly as much. But the idea is that we could have probably used those assets to have brought Giannis in already. And so here we are sitting with this guy who's at 15, 4 and 4, or whatever he's averaging this year. I don't know. But, clearly below all-star price, all-star numbers, and we paid a superstar price for him, and I think that's where the negativity with Bridges comes from, and I don't think it's going to go away unless we win the championship. And even then, I think some people are always going to be that the Knicks overplayed their hand with Mikal. I can't necessarily say that they're wrong in that, but I'll just say they thought he was a finishing piece, and so he better be a finishing piece.
But you know what? Everybody wants Knicks to hold on to those picks until Giannis decides he wants to become available. Where would the Knicks have been in the interim? So maybe the Knicks are not even a team that Giannis is even looking at if Bridges is in here, because Bridges contributed to winning. Bridges helped seal 2 of those Boston games with his defensive play at the at the end, where the Knicks were able to get to the finals, right? The Eastern Conference Finals, because we played Boston in the second round. Am I correct?
Yes.
Second
Detroit,
round.
Boston, Indiana.
Yeah. So okay. So we don't trade for Bridges, and we hold on to those assets. Are we as good a team? Maybe we find somebody who could fill the gap without, giving up those 5 picks. But hindsight is 2020. Bridges, he ain't what I thought he would be either. Trust me, we've gone through this. I can't tell you how many times, but he still contributed to winning. We might not even be attractive to a Giannis if Bridges wasn't here.
100%. Yeah.
I just think I just think for Mikal, and I don't think it's particularly his fault or whatever it is. I just don't think he's comfortable in this style of offense, for whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That his inconsistency is like, it didn't just start. It's been up and down all season. So I just think he's not comfortable in this style of offense.
But
maybe
he wasn't comfortable
with these players.
in Thibodeau's offense either. Like, you know what I mean?
and that becomes the relationship is with players. Is it this set of players that he's with? Is he comfortable at being the 4th option? Is he comfortable at getting the ball with under 7 seconds where, all of a sudden he's getting that ditch fast pass off at 4 seconds and, can he create and make that shot? This style of offense may not be for him.
Hindsight is 2020. At the time, you can't tell me you would have chose Dante over Bridges at the time. Now, hindsight,
Dante may not have been here anyway. We still might have traded Dante. And in fact, I would wager that we still would have traded Dante along with Julius to get Cat. So I don't think that's even, I don't even think that's relevant to the conversation. I think that Cat trade was going through whether we got him or not, but just because of the contract situation with Randall, and we didn't want to extend him. And so, and the relationship between Leon Rose and Towns from before he even worked for our organization, he was in love with Cat. And so, if you want to talk, if you want to give Dante his flowers, fine, but he was not going to be here either.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah, it was the pivot. It was an extreme pivot,
Right. If we didn't trade for Bridges, but you would have been holding on. You can't hold up your team hoping that you can get Giannis. How many years has it been? 3 years from that, or 2 years from that trade? Now, the Knicks would have did something else. Maybe not all 5, but trust me, the Knicks would have did something with those picks. They would not have just held them for 2 years from Giannis. All right. Shout out to Mega. It's been a minute, Mega. I hope everything is well.
The guy right there, Mega.
Yeah.
Salute, bro.
It's good to see you. Yeah, good to see you back with us. Shout out to Nick Yak as well. We will be glad Bridges is a Knick in the playoffs. I certainly am. From your lips to God's ears. From your lips to God's ears. Because last year he did have those 2 good defensive sequences, but in terms of his 3-point shooting, every series his 3-point shooting was worse. From the first round to the playoffs. Did he contribute in other areas? Absolutely. But if he had knocked down I'm not going to put it on him, but had he knocked down just a few of those wide open 3-pointers,
wide open, like not anybody in the same area code open.
We might be having a different conversation right now,
Yeah.
Salute, Randu. We appreciate you. Okay. All right. Any last words?
Good to be back. I want to thank everyone for all of your well wishes for me and my family, and I really appreciate it. Queen, my favorite part about this show from the first time I watched it was salute Nick's family, and forever that will be forever my yell. And this really is that. And she's done a great job of building this community, and the chat. You guys are a big part of that, and we try our best to make you guys an equal part of the show every chance we get. And so we don't take you for granted one bit. We appreciate every single one of you. And just because we don't agree with you, that doesn't mean we don't think your input is important, because if we all agreed, it would be a very boring show. What makes this good is that I listen to Knick Nation and I learned something about the team and think about it in a way that I didn't before. And so that maybe not completely change my perspective, but maybe alter it a little bit, and so every time that we come together like this, not only is it family, but it's educational, because when we bounce these ideas off of each other, we all become better. We all become smarter about the team. And that's the discourse that I like so much, and the reason I enjoy getting to be a part of the show. So big ups to you, Queen, for a great community, and you for making it happen, because you're the hostess with the mostest, and it's not near close to the same without you.
I appreciate that, Geoff, but you guys helped build this channel for sure. I couldn't do it by myself. And every time I'm like, even today, I'm like, oh, I don't have it, man. I don't have it. I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't have it. Maybe I shouldn't even show. Let me see if Ajay could host or whatever. I'm tired. I'm burnt out.
Regular season fatigue is
it's coming home.
The 70-game wall, Queen. I think.
Yeah,
no, I'm serious, because when you're doing a post-game show after every plus Thursday night, you hit a wall. I mean,
I think I've hit a wall.
It's a lot, and it takes a
all
lot.
Honesty, how long were you in Africa?
2 weeks.
And you were in the southern part?
Eastern.
I mean, it was Eastern. Was
Eastern,
it was
the Eastern District of Ghana? I was in Ghana, but the Eastern.
Okay.
It's west. Ghana's in west part.
So what was the temperature?
It was really good, actually. It was like anywhere between 86 and 88, but it was cool. I've been in Ghana when
it's cooking.
But also too that you miss in certain parts of the region. It's the sun, the vitamin D. So your energy levels change when you get home. It's like,
maybe that's it.
It's not the same.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Because I'm burnt. I'm ready for the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, we got to do a post game. We got to do a recap of the Brooklyn game. I mean, like, come on, like,
we better win, or it's really going to be ugly.
Right.
Get you a B complex. You take some B complex there,
right,
and pump you back up.
But I do want to take some time, Geoff. You already know. It's because of you that I'm making it through the end of the season doing these recaps. I probably would have gave up by now. So I do appreciate you. But I do want to do a special shout out to Knick Nation, who's, basically has become part of the family, has been part of the weekly show, has been consistent. And, just what you bring, I say this about everybody, just elevating the platform. And here you come helping us level up even further, and just bringing the schematic, something that I think it's fair to say, right, Geoff? Like, we don't really have that background, and you bringing that, we just really love your perspective and how you're adding to the channel. And just because we disagree with you on Alvarado doesn't mean you're not our guy. You are our guy. Welcome to the family. We appreciate you.
Steph, don't you see my head blowing up? It's getting bigger.
It's still not as big as Ajay's, though, so you good.
No, thank you. Though. I listen, guys. I definitely appreciate you, Steph, bringing me to your platform. I definitely appreciate you, Geoff. I definitely appreciate you. Let me tell you something. You guys, I learn so much from you guys. You guys have no idea. And when you see my head turning around and moving, believe me, I'm taking in the things, and I'm trying to learn and trying to level myself up to be able to help level the show up. But you guys are awesome. I've been watching you guys for years. So this is sort of like a fantasy points to me when I get out here and get to talk to you guys and shoot the S You know,
Yeah.
I'm sitting out here with people in the
Breeze,
chat.
the
I
breeze, brother,
love
the
this.
breeze.
Yes. You know what I mean?
The family
I love
show.
this kind of thing. So you know what I mean? I didn't say it. I was close.
I know. I'm just trying to help you out.
I appreciate it. But thank you guys. And let me tell you something. As long as you guys have me, as long as I'll always come back. So I appreciate you.
You family now. Anytime you want to go, you got the keys. Anytime you want to go, we appreciate you. Shout out to Greg. Greg, you listen, Greg, we may disagree. You still family. Agree, disagree on Brunson. Cat's the best player on the team. He the superstar. Whatever. We still, you still family, and we appreciate you stopping by. And I'm always, shout out to Mega, and so happy to see Keith Turner, because I remember you guys. Like when I don't see you in the chat for a while, I wonder what's going on. And I'm always happy when you show back, because I put a call out for Keith Turner like on 3 different shows. I was like, anybody seen Keith Turner like in any other rooms? Like, what's going on? I haven't seen
We
him.
almost got the milk carton. We were almost like,
Right.
where you at, Keith? We glad you're here, Keith Turner.
Yeah, and now
we're
we
glad.
see him. I'm like, okay, it's complete. We got Keith is back, and now Mega. It's been a minute. We appreciate you. I definitely miss you, Mega. So I appreciate you, and all the diehards that show up, you know, every week, and those who just drop in. We appreciate you. All right, we out of here. The Knicks play Friday. They play Brooklyn.
Yep.
All right. So
What time you want to go on Saturday morning? 9 o'clock?
9 your time, 10
In my time, I'm talking like I can't think in Eastern time anymore.
Yeah. I have a client at 9, but I anticipate being over by 10. It might, if it goes over, I'll let you know, and it'll be 10:15.
That's fine. And we could even plan on 9:30 my time, 10:30 your time. Give you a little bit extra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever you want to do, because I probably sleep in if it's been a long week.
Right. Shout out to Doughboy Fresh Music. What's up, world? My album is in stores on all platforms next week. The single is out right now. Shout out to y'all. Let's go Knicks. Congratulations to you, Doughboy Fresh Music. What should I look for? Should I look for Doughboy Fresh Music? Like what's your name? What should I be looking for? So so I can, you know, let us know. All right. Okay. Listen, Greg, did you hear what Geoff just said? Dante would not be here. It's not a Dante Bridges thing. Dante would left in the trade for Cat. He would not have been here, whether we had Bridges or not. We just would not have had Bridges or Dante. It wasn't one or the other, right? Anyway, until next time, family, appreciate everybody. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at?